Hello everyone, my name is Marilyn Martinez and my partner is Judith Barrera. Today we are going to explain to you the direct method. In the place, we are going to explain to you what is the direct method and in the same way some general aspects of the direct method such as the characteristic, what is the aims of the direct method, the principle, his advantage and his disadvantages. Okay, so what is the direct method? The direct method consists of teaching a new language by using only the target language. In addition, grammar is taught inductively, which means that learners learn or discover the rules of the target language by interacting with it. This method is focused on communication, and according with this method, you should experience the new language in the same way as you experience your mother tongue. The essential for this method is no translation. Concepts are taught through visual and association, and grammar is taught indirectly. So the key idea behind this method is that you can absorb all the knowledge about the target language without referring back to your native language.
The characteristics of direct method is that the direct method of teaching English is one of the most widely known methods. It enjoyed immense popularity because it overcame the two major defects of the grammar translation method. It substitute language content for grammar recitation and language use for translation. The silent feature of the direct method of English teaching as follows: emphasis on oral language, intensive speech practice, usually with training in phonetics, the exclusive use new language. The approach initially unacceptable and it chose to the mother tongue either for exercise on translation or for clarification of vocabulary and grammar. It was a hopefulness expected that by managing the language from the classroom, the students would be compelled to do their thinking in the new medium. Also, the learner experiences the new language in the same way in which he has experienced his mother tongue.
Well, aims of the direct method of teaching English. Well, according to the direct method, the student should think literally in English. There should be no intervention of their mother tongue, as in the translation method, as when the student creates a phrase in English, but he immediately thinks of his native language and then he thinks of the idea or concept underlying that sentences. But in the direct method, there is no intervention of the native language. So the main aim of the direct method is that you can develop an instinctive sense of the target language.
Now the principles of the direct method in teaching English. The first one is objects, for example, realia or pictures, present in the immediate classroom environment should be used to help students understand the meaning. Also, the native language should not be used in the classroom. The other principle is that the teacher should demonstrate, not explain or translate. It is desirable that students make a direct association between the target language and meaning. The other one is students should learn to think in the target language as soon as possible. Vocabulary is acquired more naturally if students it in full sentences rather than memorizing.
The purpose of language learning is communication. Therefore, students need to learn how to ask questions as well as answer them. And also, pronunciation should be worked on right from the beginning of the language of language instructions. Self-correction facilitates language learning, and a lesson should contain some conversational activity, some opportunity for students to use language in real context. And students should be encouraged to speak as much as possible, and grammar should be taught inductively. There may never be an explicit grammar rule given. Writing is an important skill to be developed from the beginning of the language instructions. And the syllabus is based on situation or topics, not usually on linguistic structures. Learning another language also involves learning how speakers of that language live. So the direct method has some advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages is that this method is a natural method. So the natural order of learning a language is observing, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And this method makes use of demonstration and conversation. This method gives you fluency of speech. As this method paid a lot of attention to oral training, the students acquire fluency of speech. This is the reason why students who are taught by the direct method are fluent speakers, as compared to those who are taught by the translation method. This method improves your pronunciation. Since, as I said before, this method pays a lot of attention to oral training, but the students also are taught in phonetics, so the pronunciation will improve. This method is a edge in writing. According with this method, if a student can express himself clearly and correctly in speaking, he can express himself in writing as well. And finally, it makes use of audiovisual aids. So this method makes the lesson in such a way more interesting for the students, since the direct method uses audiovisual aids, attracting the attention of students.
Well, this method has also some disadvantages. Some of them are that this direct method teaching in English it is an incomplete method. That means that direct method lays too much emphasis on speaking, it neglects reading and writing. The tendency is to give insufficient attention to reading and not to teach reading work systematically. The other one is that it requires efficient teachers. Every teacher cannot make as a test of the direct method. Only that teacher can work out this method successfully who is good at English, especially conversational English. The third one is that it requires linguistic-minded students. That means that direct method can succeed only with those students who are linguistically minded, that is, students who have got a fine ear for the language. Only the clever child can profit by this method. The fourth one is material facilities are not available. Direct method requires the use of audiovisual aids, but these are not available in the majority of our schools. The other one that the classes are overcrowded. Small classes are needed for the direct method so that the teacher can pay individual attention. But in a majority of schools, the classes are very large. And the last one is that it is difficult for explanation. The meaning of new words in the direct methods is explained by material association, explanation in the target language, and use in suitable context. Well, the mother tongue is not used, although in certain cases it's used more economical and effective in telling meaning. Well, thank you so much for your attention.